Hey, what's up everybody? I'm back with another video, and in today's video I wanted to discuss the theory of Nintendo having a fully upgradable console with the Nintendo NX. Now, we talked about this a little bit in the last video where I was mentioning the supplemental computing device adding that level of upgradability for the Nintendo NX. Now, in those patents though, it showed the supplemental computing device being a standalone device that was placed close to the system, either wirelessly connected or directly connected through some kind of Ethernet port or something like that, directly to the console. So my thought would be that Nintendo could go that route and release the Nintendo NX in March of 2017, and a few years down the line release this SCD device that will upgrade the graphics and the CPU computing power and the networking ability OS features of the NX console. Or another thought I was thinking of was that they could actually create the console itself to be upgradable, as in the system itself being able to have the GPU or memory, for example, be upgradable. Now, granted, this will make it very similar to a computer, basically a PC, a desktop. You can take out the GPU, you can take out the RAM and replace it, you can take out the CPU and the motherboard and basically make a whole new computer from scratch and do it yourself. So the difference I'm thinking with the Nintendo NX, what Nintendo could do, they could add on that supplemental computing device inside the system itself. And not have it adjacent to the system, and make it something that you could add inside the box, basically, to add to its power that way. And maybe it wouldn't be noticeable to the outside eye, and it wouldn't be something that would take up more space in your living room. They could do it in that route. And of course, the argument is basically, why not Nintendo just release a Steam box then if they're going to do that? So I'm not talking about completely removing everything from the console. I'm not talking about removing the CPU or even the GPU possibly of the console. I'm just talking about maybe adding more RAM, adding more networking to the console that would increase performance, or adding that device that Nintendo patented inside the console itself as well. They can make it really small and affordable, and that little piece of a device could fit inside and have its own CPU and have its own GPU and run directly inside the console itself. Now granted, they would have to figure out something to do with how to keep it cool and the heat factor and all those things, but I think it is theoretically possible that they could add on something like that while keeping the cost down. Because remember, building these consoles costs hundreds of millions of dollars in research and development, and paying other companies to actually build the console, paying companies like AMD to design the graphics and CPUs of the console. So you got all these manufacturers working together to build these consoles, which is concerning for the consumer, because you got to pay more money for the console, right? Every few years, if they're going to do this type of thing where they release a new console every 3 to 4 years, you're going to be spending a lot more money, which in turn leads to the manufacturers spending a lot more money making these consoles and hoping that they sell. So it's kind of a difficult spot that consoles are in right now. Here you have that Xbox Scorpio possibly coming out in 2017. That's basically going to be like a PC, because Microsoft games are available on PC and on Xbox. Basically, those Microsoft exclusives are not really exclusives anymore if you have a PC. So what they're doing to console development is making them basically into personal computers that are miniaturized for your own house, just like the Steam box. So it does cost more money in the long run for these manufacturers, and it does cost more money for the consumer. So Nintendo, being Nintendo, they like to have value for their customers. They like to add value. So adding value to the Nintendo NX would definitely be something along the lines of upgrading the system itself, in my opinion, not necessarily replacing the entire system with a brand new device 3 years later. I don't think that makes, really good sense or business sense for Nintendo either. If customers are expecting a new model to come out just in a couple years, it's going to make them hesitate to buy the current model. The same thing applies for PlayStation Neo and Xbox Scorpio. You know, when you purchase these systems that they're going to be releasing, how much longer is it going to be till they have the next one come out? In my opinion, I think it makes more sense for people who already have a PlayStation 4 to keep their PlayStation 4, wait till PlayStation 5 to have the really big jump, since these systems are meant for backwards compatibility that Microsoft, Sony are developing for, so you can play all those same games. They're making them specifically like that on purpose. Now for the Nintendo NX, my theory is that they're not going to have backwards compatibility and they're starting from ground zero. So for them to replace the NX 3 years down the line, I don't think is quite as likely as it is for Sony and Microsoft with these little upgrades here and there as far as replacing the entire console. I do think it's more likely that Nintendo will go the Nintendo 64 route and 2 or 3 years in the console's life add an expansion pack type of thing for the NX, like we were talking about the SCD device, or make the NX console itself upgradable with RAM or some kind of boost in power that way that doesn't cost the consumer much money extra. Also, it's definitely a different time period in gaming. Back in the 90s when the expansion pack came out, Nintendo included the expansion pack inside some of the boxes of the games, like Donkey Kong 64 and Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. They included the expansion pack inside the box with the cartridge because they were required to run the game with the expansion pack. Now, these upgrades for the NX are probably going to be more expensive than that, so I doubt they would do something like that. Where does it lead developers? Developers have to target still that base NX that people already have, and whatever improvement to graphics will probably just be, the resolution and frame rate, just like the expansion pack. And the same thing applies to Xbox Scorpio and PlayStation 4. Developers need to target the core system that was the original to make all the games still run on that core base. So the upgrade is probably going to just be performance and resolution. So here we go again with all these upgrades. The difference, though, remember, from 1080p to 4K is not as clear or not as big to the naked eye as it is 480p that was blurry and jaggy on HD TVs to 1080p, which looks great. 1080p still looks great today. 4K looks better, it definitely does, but 4K is not the huge leap from 480p to 1080p that it was years ago. So we're getting to the point where, I know we've talked about this before, even Nintendo did and other companies back in 2001, saying that graphics were getting to the point where they weren't going to get much better, but we're really reaching that point now, I think. You look at games like Uncharted 4 where it's so cinematic and, they look basically like computerized movies that you're playing the movie yourself and you're involved in the movie, and it looks real. The characters are animated realistically. Granted, it could always look better, and it will continue to be that way, but it's getting really to the point where graphics are going to look great no matter what system you have. So choose your system. What system are you going to have? You're going to have Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft. And it's going to come down to who offers the best experience, who offers the best exclusives, who's offering the best deals, who's offering the best innovative gameplay. Of course, you know what I'm going to say about that. My choice is always going to be Nintendo when it comes to gameplay and exclusives. So we know these systems are going to have great graphics. We're really getting to an interesting point in console development and console lifespans. It's changing, and the only way I see it to progress is that if developers and console manufacturers get innovative with the gameplay again. So the graphics are there. Now let's shake things up a bit, make the gameplay more interesting. One of the criticisms of Uncharted 4 is that you're basically watching a movie play out in front of you, and you want to play more. There's a lot of cutscenes in that game, that's true. So people like that, and then people don't like that, but there's got to be a balance, right? So add something more innovative to the core gamer market. Not for the enthusiast, crazy PC market. I'm not talking about that. People who are into that, that's a very segregated, smaller market. I'm talking about the gamer market that's going to spend $300 to $400 on a console and buy these new games and want to be entertained. I think that's where the industry needs to go and need to improve. And I think Nintendo is keen on that, they're aware of that, and they want that market back, and that's what they're fighting for. So again, that's my idea for the NX, and let me know if you guys think that's plausible or not, or what you guys think and how it would work in your opinion. Let me know in the comment section, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Take care.